Hey everyone, so I just wanted to share with everybody one of the lessons that I was reminded of today. We had our first SCCA Autocross in Portland, first one of the year 2021, and we had a nice group in our S2 class, which is E Street and D Street and G Street and H Street and all the slow cars. Except there were some pretty fast cars in D Street now. But yeah, we had like 19 people or something like that in S2 or Street 2 class. And my lesson today, man, coning my second run. I don't cone very often, and when I do, it really gets in my head. So worst run for me to cone is my second run, because then I'm always thinking about it on my third run. And I just want to remind everybody that on your third run, any run, but especially on your third run in autocross, you have to go for it. You have to drive 10 tenths. And people have different strategies and different ways of thinking about it. But today what I did was, so I laid down a pretty fast run on my second run, but it was with a cone. I was sitting in fourth off of my first run, and it would have been enough to put me in first. But of course I coned, and then thinking about it on my third run, I'm thinking, okay, well, I need to get a clean run. I need to get I need to get one under my belt that's fast and clean. I wasn't consciously trying to be cautious, but that's kind of how I drove. And so I was driving at like 9 tenths on my third run as opposed to 10 tenths. And the difference there is a second on, in a slow car, E Street car on a 45, 50-second course. And so that was that was the difference of first place and seventh place today. So I finished mid-pack, and I was reminded of why you always have to go for it on your third run. And I just wanted to share that with everybody. That's why, in the golfing world, they would call it laying up. But you don't want to lay up.
Give me another ball.
Take a drop, Roy.
Roy, just
Give me another ball.
Because then you're finishing mid-pack, and yeah, you may have beat half the pack, but the other half the pack beat you. And so that's why you see, in racing, professional motorsports, that's why you see drivers wreck out of second place, fifth place, 10th place on the last lap. And you always hear those interviews at the end. Why? What were you doing there? Why? Well, I was trying to win the race. And so you have to go for it, because the alternative is not something that is, anything to write home about either. And so I just wanted to share that with everybody. And so thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Overall, it was a fun day. It was actually really interesting because we got to experience with our run group. We got our first 3 competition runs were dry. And then the second 3 runs that we got 6 runs today. Second 3 runs that we got, it started raining, like pouring down rain immediately after our third run. So we kind of lucked out that way, but got to experience the same autocross course in the dry and in the soaking wet on the same day with the same setup and everything. So that was really cool. One thing I noticed about that, we were about maybe 8 or 10% slower in the wet. I was putting down 46s, 47s, and then like 51s in the wet. And so that was interesting. It was also interesting that just comparing myself to my dad, that the rain was kind of an equalizer. Like, for him, he was only maybe a second or so slower in the rain, or a couple seconds slower in the rain. And so where we had like a 2-second gap in the dry, and then in the rain, he narrowed that to like a second on me. So, or he was within a second of me. So that was interesting to note. and I'll show some video of that. But I also wanted to say at the end here that if you're a subscriber to my channel, really appreciate that. You, at this point, you deserve a Medal of Honor for loyalty, because I really haven't been posting a whole lot lately. I'm actually working on a bachelor's degree and a bunch of other stuff going on, but that should be completed here later this year towards August. So really happy for everybody that's sticking with me, and I do want to keep on putting out content, doing the interviews. That's actually something I'd like to get back to doing. There's some really great drivers in our region that that I'd like to interview, as well as some other ideas that we have for the channel and other racing videos. So thanks for hanging in there and watching our videos.
Oh yeah. Are we talking about losing control? I'ma show you how we lose control, baby. Watch this. Look, Marty Marv. Watch the way I start up. I've been going hard, but I can go way harder. Every beat I'm on, yeah, you know that I slaughter. And I'm always looking gorgeous, chilling with somebody's daughter. Yeah, she loving me. Say she love the way my chain sit and contemplate. And of course it says my name if you wanna wait. To let you know who's finna blow. Always winning, check the scope. I'm only losing control. Oh. I like losing control. I get high when I'm feeling my flow. My mind is focused and I'm ready to go. Ready to go. Nah, nah.